Good evening and welcome to the September edition of Education in Focus. I'm your host, Michaeline Moyabasi, and this program is brought to you by the Department of Education with the aim of keeping parents, teachers and students and all stakeholders of the Education Department abreast with the latest happenings in the education sector. September 2015 was a special month for Papua New Guinea as we celebrated 40 years of independence. This month, we bring to you independence messages from the Minister of Education, Honorable Nick Kuman, the Acting Secretary for Education, Dr. Kombra, and the Deputy Secretary for Education, Dr. Eliakim Apelis. In addition to this, we take a look at the launch of the Early Grade Reading Assessment project, a look into the Department of Education's Curriculum Division and their Policy Planning and Research Divisions. But first, here are special messages to all Papua New Guineans in lieu of this very special Independence Month.
Good evening, teachers, students, and Papua New Guinea. Today is special because it's our 40 years of independence. PNG gained independence from Australia on September 16, 1975. As the country celebrates the 40 years of independence, it is a time to reflect on the accomplishments we have collectively made as a nation. This is our opportunity as a growing and developing nation to acknowledge our achievements and to continue to plan for our future. The achievements made in education over the 40 years is both tangible and measurable. We can see firsthand the ongoing progression in providing a global standard of education in Papua New Guinea. We can see marked transition from a subsistence-based to a technological-based economy due to the role education has played in this country. From pre to post-independence, delivery of education has passed through 6 different stages to correspond to the development needs of this country. Western education system started with churches to spread the word of God. Then we had 2 systems run by the government and churches until independence. After independence, our education system was decentralized to provinces in which provinces have been playing an important role in delivery of education. The progress of reforming the education system started in the early 1990s with the emphasis on quality in education, backed by different strategies endorsed by successive governments. In 2010, the Universal Basic Education strategy was endorsed as a platform to enhance quality education by making education accessible to all school-age children from elementary to grade 10 without any bias or prejudice. In 2012, the O'Neill-Dion government has gone a step further by introducing the popular tuition fee-free education in policy. The TFF, which is costing the government $1 billion per year, is accelerating universal basic education as well as addressing other underlying issues relating to delivery of education. This government is embarking on setting the pace for rapid reforms into the education sector so that in the next 15 years, more than 70% of our young adults can read and can write. We are teaching our students in science, maths, and English as the core subjects to reshape Papua New Guinea into the future. The curriculum is redeveloped to meet the standards and is being delivered in schools that have the required infrastructure and are adequately resourced. We are establishing a student transition model to enable students to realize their full potential starting from primary, high school, secondary school, and the School of Excellence. Every student can continue their learning in community colleges if they are graduating from their high schools, or vocational technical schools if they are coming out from secondary schools. The government is carefully planning the educational requirements for all the young people of this nation. The government identifies this as part of its moral and constitutional obligation to providing students relevant lifelong skills that can participate meaningfully in their communities and contribute to the development pathways of our country. In refacing education to our current and future needs, the department remains committed to the mission statement of Vision 2050. Education remains the foremost pillar to make Papua New Guineans educated, wise, fair, healthy, and happy. We are reviewing the Education Act 1983 as well as redrafting the next National Education Plan 2015-2019 concurrently. This is vital so that both the Act and the plan complement and strategically align the country's development aspirations and ideals outlined in Vision 2050 and the PNG Strategic Development Plans 2010 to 2030. As a government, we are responding to our international commitments like the Millennium Development Goals. We may not reach the set targets in 2015. However, we are setting the momentum to meeting the targets in the near future. The Education Department operates within the legal boundaries of the Constitution and the development goals of Papua New Guinea. The Education Act 1983, Teacher Service Commission Act 1988, the Organic Law on Provincial and Local Level Government 1995, National Library and Archives Act 1993, and Higher Education Act 1995. If these legal frameworks impede on the delivery of education to our children, we need to amend this, and the government is well informed to make the appropriate legislative changes. We need to accelerate education to the expected levels for all our children in this nation. Providing quality education for children today will help create a productive workforce in the future. If the majority of the population is capable of reading, writing, and undertaking mathematics by 2030, it is estimated that the PNG economy will be 3.5 billion better in terms of GDP. The contribution of the education to Papua New Guinea's economy will continue to increase after 2030 as literacy and numeracy rates among the population continue to increase. Finally, I acknowledge and thank our stakeholders, our development partners, line government agencies, the private sector, non-government organizations, and importantly, the churches for your great partnership in bringing education this far. I can do things which you cannot. You can do things which I cannot. Together, we can do great things. This is a quotation from Mother Teresa. I look forward to sustained partnership into the future to raise the standards of education more comparable and relevant to the needs of Papua New Guinea today and tomorrow. I am passionate about the education of our children. I am grateful to the government for my appointment as a minister responsible for the Department of Education. As the government, we remain committed to supporting education reforms. Education is like a farmer who knows how to plot his land, lay the bed, and sow the seed. Governments, communities, parents, and students can make that seed grow and bears abundant fruits. Together, we will celebrate the harvest in the next 40 years. With that, I wish all students and teachers, staff, parents, our partners, and the staff of my department a happy independence celebration. God bless this nation, Papua New Guinea.
Thank you for your company. Acting Secretary for the Department of Education, Dr. Kombra, also has some important messages to share with PNG on the occasion of the 40th independence of Papua New Guinea.
Good evening, all students, teachers, and fellow Papua New Guineans. I bring greetings to you all as we celebrate our 40th independence anniversary. As we celebrate this important event, we must also reflect on what we have achieved so far in our education sector. Education, training, and literacy are key to the development, peace, and prosperity of our young nation. Since PNG achieved independence in 1975, the education sector has made leaps and bounds in contributing significantly to our country's development. Education in the colonial era did not begin with independence in 1975. Formal education that we have today started during the colonial period, mainly in the hands of our churches. The first Western type education were opened in 1870s by missionaries in Papua New Guinea, in the Papuan region. This was even before the colonial government had established itself in these early missionaries, provided a basic education in reading and writing. This meant local people could read the Bible and participate in church activities and improve their living conditions in their villages. The real growth in education that we have today began under the Combined Territory Administration with the government schools in 1946. Later, after 30 years, self-government and independence in 1973 and 1975 saw our national education system being born. Papua New Guinea became self-governing in December 1973 and independent in September 1975. The years leading up to these two important historical events, we have established a unified national education system. Under this national system, we established the Teaching Service Commission, a standard salary scales for all our qualified teachers, and a real partnership in education. We also centralized planning and decision making. The unified education system brought benefits to our country as education authorities, groups, and individuals. Some of these advantages were: number one, participation in decision making; two, coordinated planning; three, standard conditions of teachers' employment; four, unified curriculum. The unified curriculum was developed to bring national unity. A core national curriculum would be taught by all teachers in all schools, that they would be supervised and inspected by a national inspectorate system. Number five, teacher transfers. Six, efficient teacher training. Teacher preparation would be coordinated at national levels over time, and this was expected to result in considerable consolidation of facilities and training programs. Over time, our education system has gone through many challenges that have resulted in changes meant to improve quality and access for our children, quality training for our teachers, construction of more schools and institutions to meet the growing population demand, increased opportunities for our schools, levers to continue their education and training after grade 10 and 12. In 1993, there were major reforms were undertaken to address these major challenges. The 1993 saw significant changes happen, such as the establishment of elementary schools and the upgrading of high schools to secondary schools. The education reforms have not happened overnight. There are many significant milestones that have occurred over the last 40 years that led to the growth and expansion of our system. Between 1975 and 2014 has been huge. For example, in elementary schools, there was no school in 1975, but over the last 40 years we have established 7,000 schools. We changed community schools to primary schools with grade 7 and 8
moving into primary schools. The numbers have increased dramatically in teachers as well at the primary level. High schools also changed, with 78 schools in 1975. At the secondary level, we had 78 schools in 1975. This has grown now to 214 schools with 28,000 students. In 1975 to 154,000 students in 1975. There were 11,000 teachers in 1975, and today we have close to 5,000. There was also huge increases at the vocational level, at teachers' colleges and technical colleges. At the technical colleges, we now have 12 institutions, 8 technical colleges and 4 polytechnics. Moving on to quality. In quality, we have also endured to give every child the opportunity to get quality education and across all of PNG. With the changes in the school curriculum, teacher training, and maintain an inspection system to monitor and support quality teaching and learning at the school level. Despite these massive changes and development in education, we cannot deny that we have challenges. These challenges will always be there in some form or size, which we can see as the bad news for us today. But the good news is that we are totally committed and remain steadfast to seeing that our children, we give them the best education we can. To conclude, fellow Papua New Guineans, we must be proud of our education system. We are capable and we have pilots, teaching pilots to fly the Airbus 380. We have prime ministers who have been taught about our education system. We have lawyers, we have engineers, we have scientists who are equal or better and can serve anywhere in the world. Yes, we have challenges, but we must be proud that together we have come this far and have done it. And together we can do more, or even better, to build a better, healthy, wealthy, smart and happy Papua New Guinea. I thank the Prime Minister, Honorable Peter O'Neill, and the Minister for Education, Honorable Kuman, for having education closer to your heart and giving us your first priority. I thank and acknowledge the commitment and hard work from our teachers and the public servants in the last 40 years. Our teachers have been the backbone of our achievements, serving in the most remote parts of PNG. We salute you and ask you for your continuous service. Without you, all we have would not have been possible. I thank the churches for the work that you have done. I also thank the parents and the public who have supported us in many ways throughout our journey and the journey ahead. I wish you all a memorable, enjoyable and safe 40th Independence Anniversary celebrations. In God we trust and say that nothing is impossible. God bless Papua New Guinea.
We now take a look at how the PNG curriculum has evolved over the years since independence.
Firstly, let me wish the people of Papua New Guinea, in particular the teachers and the children who are at school, happy 40th anniversary, independence anniversary for 2015. We hope that they all enjoy the the occasion. We also hope that we reflect back on how far we have gone, particularly in our education system in the last 40 years. When we reflect back on the experiences, the practices that we've had over the last 40 years, we hope that from those reflections we are able to make more definite progress as we sail into the next 40 years.
Over the years since independence, the Department of Education has been experimenting with curriculums so as to come up with content best suited for Papua New Guinean students. What started with standard-based curriculum during colonial years moved through to objective-based curriculum post-independence. Soon the Department of Education realized that the outcome-based education allowed Papua New Guinea to adapt to the type of curriculum that was being used in countries like Australia, UK and the like, but the content was foreign to the students. A review into the outcome-based education found that it was not suitable for PNG, and as a result, there was a decline in the standard of children's learning. So the government decided to introduce more local content relevant to Papua New Guinea. A decision was made to move away from outcome-based education and towards standard-based education and realign the content to suit Papua New Guinean standards. Presently, the Department of Education is looking at suitable content for children from elementary 1 and 2. However, prior to implementing this, they would need to ensure that teachers are properly trained.
In the standard-based curriculum, we have begun by looking at elementary standard-based curriculum. So in elementary, we've developed a curriculum that is suitable for our children, from elementary prep to elementary 1 and to elementary 2. In that curriculum, we make sure that before it is implemented, the requirement is for all elementary teachers to go through staff development and or teacher training programs. That teacher training that will be rolled out very soon to 3 provinces, Central Province, Gulf Province and the National Capital District this month. That rollout will allow us to train all elementary teachers in the new curriculum for those 3 provinces. When the resources allow, we will roll the training to 19 other provinces throughout the country, and we hope that that will happen before the end of the year. With the primary, the process in developing the curriculum, aligning the current curriculum to the standard-based curriculum, is being worked on, is being finalized, and then eventually we will train the facilitators, the standard officers, selected teachers from all the provinces to attend this training, and these officers and the standard officers then can roll out the training to all primary teachers throughout the country. Besides that, we are also negotiating with the government in terms of increasing the level of funding to make sure that the anything that we developed that relates to the changes we have, we must produce them before the training begins. This includes student textbooks and students' resources. That we would like to look at the whole package as a wholesale package, rather than what we went through with the outcomes-based education and the outcomes-based curriculum. So there is intention of the government and the Department of Education to move into the standard-based curriculum as long as the resources are available to the Department of Education.
Presently, the process of developing the curriculum for primary schools and aligning it from outcome-based education to standard-based education is being carried out, and eventually facilitators and standard officers will be trained, who will then help in rolling out the training to all primary school teachers in the country. Together with the change in curriculum and training of teachers, the department is also looking at reviewing the examination system so that teachers assess students' knowledge on the subject.
We are also reviewing the examination system. Currently, we have grade 8 examinations, grade 10 examinations, and grade 12 examinations. We will be reviewing the examination system in order to improve the content of the examination papers in all the 3 grades, the exiting points of the levels of education. So you will find that while we are doing that, we also would like to improve on our internal assessment system. The department feels that our internal assessment system needs to be improved so that teachers concentrate more on assessing students in order to learn better, rather than assessing students purely for examinations. And we feel that there is a need for us to seriously look at that area so that we are able to teach the children, and for children to be able to learn concepts and ideas that will sustain their life in future, rather than educating our children simply to sit for the examinations and then selected for higher education.
Dr. Apelis had some strong words for all stakeholders of the Department of Education as far as cheating was concerned.
I also would like to appeal to the principals, the head teachers, and the teachers of all the schools, in high school, secondary, and primary. That over the years, we have experienced a number of cheating allegations against certain schools, certain provinces, and we have taken note of those particular regions, provinces, and of course the schools. We are very careful this year. We are going to monitor the situation. We have systems in place in the examination system in which we process the results, and we can easily identify the schools and even the students who fall into the category of cheating. When we do that, we will consult the schools, consult the supervisors, examination supervisors, and we will hold people accountable to such practices. Cheating is not good for children whom we are educated to be future leaders of this country. When you cheat in examination, there is nobody else you cheat except cheating yourself. It will not work for anybody who cheats to move up into higher education level or in any profession, because at the end of the day, you can easily identify those type of people wherever they are in any work discipline, you would easily know that those people have cheated to be where they are if the question of ethics and moral implicates them. I would like to remind the public about the examination dates for 2015. Already we've had grade 12 written expression, and right now our teachers are marking the written expression papers in Port Moresby. October the 12th to the October 15th, we have a 1 week grade 10 examinations, which used to be 2 weeks. We've now reduced the time to 1 week. We see there is no essential needs for a 2 week examination for grade 10 this year, and we may continue in the future to 1 week examinations. From October the 19th to October the 30th, we have 2 weeks grade 12 examinations that will cover various subjects students covered in grade 11 and 12. And in November, the 2nd to the 5th, we have 4 days grade 8 examinations. So those are very important dates for teachers, parents, standard officers, and the public to be aware of. We also would like the public, parents, teachers, students to take a careful note of those people over the years who have tried to make fast money by lying to the public that they are selling examination papers, and over the years we found out some of those papers are not really related to the actual examination papers, but people were using them to make money out of them. But at the same time, if there is any suspicious dealing that people are aware of, we would like them to immediately contact the Department of Education on 324-6400, and for us to immediately address some of those issues. So here we are calling for the public, for the parents, teachers, standard officers, to keep their eyes and their ears open for anything that they're suspicious of, to let the Department of Education know immediately, for us to make sure that those responsible are dealt with immediately, to avoid the cheating practices that we've had in the past.
Since independence, and especially over the last few years, since 2012, PNG has seen dramatic changes to education policy. Here is Dr. Walipe Wingi, who speaks on several of the policy initiatives of the Department of Education.
We have come a long way in terms of our education system. In the 60s and 70s, we started with the Education Ordinance. And then in 1983, we had the Education Act, which was consolidated in 1995. Through that many years, the system has survived. A lot of policies have been developed. The latest are things like the TFF that the government has intervened to help the people of Papua New Guinea. Just to clarify for the people, TFF has got 2 components. first one that people are not too familiar and not too clear that we get a lot of criticism is that the commodity component. Now, for the people, commodity component is actually a trial. It's not an annual allocation that is given by the government to the department to administer. It has been a trial, and the trial has now ended. We are reviewing the report, and that report will now make the system look at how best we can improve it, if we need to improve it. If not, then the government will be advised on what to do with the commodity component. The second is the cash component that goes direct to schools. And that we are all aware that schools are now receiving a guaranteed income from the state, the government through the Department of Education, that they are receiving for their operations. Currently, the Education Act review is currently going on, and that people have been invited, stakeholders have been invited through the media for comments to come in, and we ask the public to be part of the education system to make their views and contributions, so that the views and contributions that come from the people will help us to improve the Education Act. The next plan that's coming on is the National Education Plan. We had the last 10-year National Education Plan from 2004 to 2014. And we realized that 10-year plan sometimes is too long. So we are now cutting it down to 5 years National Education Plan, and we are working towards finalizing that from 2015 to 2019. That the consultation workshops, meetings and so forth have been conducted. The last final one for the Department of Education's consultation was at March Girls. We are now putting that together, and that will be finalized soon to be launched. The previous education school structure that we had is 6-4-2. That's 6 years of primary education, 4 years of secondary education, grade 7 to 10, and then 2 years of the higher education, that's grade 11 and 12. Then when the restructure came on, we brought in 3-6-4. 3 years of elementary education, 6 years of primary, that starts from grade 3 up to grade 8, and 4 years of secondary education from grade 9 to grade 12. Now we're looking at 2-6-6 structure, that's 2 years of elementary, 6 years of primary, and then 6 years of secondary education. But another view is we might go into 7-4-2. That's another 7 years of basic education, 4 years of middle education, and 2 years of the higher 11 and 12. So that's something that we will be working towards improving. We're now going into the department restructure. Previously, in the department, we had secretary and 2 deputies. In the overall restructure now we got secretary, 3 deputies. The number of deputies have increased by 1 to 3. The number of first assistant secretaries have increased from 3 to 9, and a number of assistant secretaries positions have increased from 12 to 19. And notable among those new inclusions in the structure is creation of the FAS responsible for provincial services. That position is specially created to be the link point between the department here in Waigani and all the provinces. And other divisions that are notable in the new creation is to demarcate the human resource division from the salaries, and the salaries now have a new division to deal effectively with the teachers' salary issues. So anybody with salary problems can deal directly with the division that's called the PAS, Payroll and Related Services Division. The other divisions that are notable in the new structure is the e-learning, because now we are moving into e-learning in the schools, and the ICT, infrastructure development and so forth. We are now looking at that coming in. Recently, in the last month, we have a new payment system that's coming in, that's called the Integrated Financial Management System, IFMS. that is now introduced by Finance Department, replacing the PGA system that we had. And this system is more transparent and more accountable. It cuts out all those issues to do with compliance and so forth, and the system is now helping to improve on that front. And with the National Education Plan, the latest one that is coming on is the 2015 to 2019 that will be launched very shortly, as the consultations are now coming towards an end. That replaces the National Education Plan, the 10-year one we had from 2005 to 2014.
Education planning and policy plays a vital role to the development of education in a country. The Policy and Planning Wing of the Department of Education have many plans and improvement strategies that have developed to lift the standard of education in PNG. Education in Focus spoke to Mr. Joseph Logha, First Assistant Secretary of Policy, Planning and Research, who further elaborates on PNG's National Education Plan and their emphasis on quality learning for all.
The Education Policy and Planning Wing of the Department of Education is concerned with the inputs, pathways and processes leading to schooling and education, the formation of human capital. Education planning and policy play a vital role to the development of education in a country. The Policy and Planning Wing of the Department of Education have many plans and improvement strategies that they have developed to lift the standard of education in PNG. The 2005 to 2014 National Education Plan focused on access to education. PNG has made great progress in access and participation to education in recent years. Student enrollment has expanded rapidly, with around 1.9 million children enrolled in elementary and primary levels in 2015 compared to 1 million students a decade ago. The O'Neill Dion government's tuition fee-free policy has played a key part in reducing barriers to access and participation in education for many children. However, progress on achieving quality education remains a great challenge. That is why the main goal of the Department of Education for the new National Education Plan for 2015 to 2019 is on quality learning for all.
We must have a quality school, we must have quality leadership, we must have quality teachers, and we must have quality learning, especially in the classroom. And the focus is that the teacher must have enough resources, the student must have quality learning, and therefore through the investment the government is giving, the department is working around the clock to ensure that this plan is endorsed, and then we move into the provincial plans. We need to embark on helping the provinces to develop their plans, and the plans are more or less consistent with the national plan, so that we want that in the provinces we want more classrooms to be built, we want more teachers to be trained, and we want communities to take ownership, and even the provincial administration to invest in some of the focal areas like especially teacher training, curriculum development, so that it will help the advancement of education in Papua New Guinea.
The new National Education Plan of 2015 to 2019 focuses on 6 areas: access and equity, teachers and training, learning, alternative pathways, local management, and system strengthening. Access focuses on ensuring that a child remains in school for the duration of the entire cycle, and equity ensures that the plan gives opportunities to those marginalized, especially girls. the Department of Education is focusing heavily on teacher training so that the quality of teaching in schools is improved substantially. Under learning, the department is moving from outcome-based education system to a standard-based education system, which has set standards for performance and also places importance on local content. Alternative Pathways looks at bringing students who are out of school through alternative education or vocational training so that they can be trained and developed into contributing workforce in the future. Under local management, the Department of Education is trying to involve the school, provincial boards and local authorities to take active ownership of the education sector in their areas so that everyone contributes at all levels: local, provincial and national levels. System strengthening takes a look at the Education Act review. The last Education Act was formed in 1983 and is over 30 years old. Since then, a lot of reforms and development have taken place in the education sector, which calls for a review of the Education Act.
Another important area in terms of the school learning and overall development of education is the ICT. As you all know, that the country and the world is developing to moving towards a digitalized world, and ICT is a strong component of the education system. We have rollout programs, and now we are moving into e-learning. In e-learning, what we want to do is we develop curriculum through like video and TV, so that it gives access to the rural and remote students. At the same time, it's our innovative way to impart curriculum, and we can see that through ICT we can lift the standard of education in Papua New Guinea. So this is a new investment that it is in the plan, and we will continue to enhance and develop in the near future.
Apart from the National Education Plan, the Department of Education is also working closely with UNICEF on the school's national disaster preparedness.
The department also has a disaster policy in place, and the focus of the disaster policy is to let it inform the schools and the parents about the emerging climate change that is affecting our schools. And it is important that we must have some plans about the schools when there is event of a disaster. And as a result, we have capacity build the teachers. We have, with the help of UNICEF, we have distributed a lot of disaster kits to the schools. And this is for the teachers and the communities, including the parents, to use in the event of the disaster, because the school must remain open during disaster time. And therefore, the school kits and blankets and everything that is being dispatched to the provinces, we encourage the provincial people to take care of these very important materials.
Reading plays a very important role in developing a child's vocabulary. Students who have a large vocabulary are usually good readers. This is not very surprising, since the best way to acquire a large vocabulary is to read extensively. The Department of Education this month launched the Early Grade Reading Assessment project in 4 provinces. Here is a report on that launch.
The National Department of Education this month launched the Early Grade Reading Assessment project for Madang, NCD, East New Britain and the Western Highlands.
Let us sing of our joy.
This project comes under the READ PNG program, which is funded by the World Bank and implemented by the Department of Education's Curriculum Development Division section. The objective of the READ PNG program is to enhance quality learning for every student at the primary level through learning reading and comprehension skills and techniques. The READ PNG project comprises 3 components. The first, increasing the availability of books and reading materials. The second, teacher professional development. And the third, Early Grade Reading Assessment. Through the project, library books and bookshelves have been provided to piloted schools. Trainings were also conducted to teachers on areas of library management and effective use of library books. To date, over 18,000 teachers have received training, with over 500,000 students having access to library books of over 60 different titles inside their classrooms.
This report provided a detailed diagnostic of children's learning performance in early grades and highlighted some of the challenges of teaching children to read in Papua New Guinea. Our focus on educational quality means that we must be able to measure quality. And this is where this report becomes important.
Premise and foundation of this next 5-year, 10-year plan is on quality for education. And this is going to complement our last 10 years program under Universal Basic Education, of which quality education is a component of that. So with this new National Education Plan, we will be focusing a lot on quality, which continues to work closely with our development partners. The READ PNG project is an example of what we can do within this quality agenda.
The Early Grade Reading Assessment will be used to provide detailed policy recommendations to guide discussions about improving literacy in PNG.
The EGRA report, the preliminary report that comes from the study that the Pacific Island Literacy Assessment some years back. There's a serious concern that literacy level in our country, we are not able to reach that level among our other brothers and sisters in the same region. This will help not only the Department of Education but the government. Will help make us informed and evidence-based decisions about the education policy going into the future. The launch of this report represents the start of a process. The process must start now. And I want to take cue from where Dr. Kombra assessing that we are now reviewing the act that governs the education system in this country.
And that's all we have this month on Education in Focus. If you wish to watch this episode again, you can log on to our website, www.emtv.com.pg. For any comments, suggestions or queries, feel free to post on our Facebook page. Until then, on behalf of the Education in Focus team, good night and enjoy the rest of your viewing on your #1 station, EMTV.